Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about main topic number 2. And, well, this one might be a spicy one. The next 2 topics might be a little bit spicy because we're going to get a little political, which I know is, unusual for this channel. But here's the thing. The 5G network is becoming a thing. That's the next big thing for phones is 5G networks. And you have companies from Samsung to Nokia to Apple all throwing their hat in the ring. One of these companies that really wanted to become big in the 5G space was Huawei. Now, Huawei is a Chinese-owned company. And here's the thing about Chinese-owned companies, and we've been discussing this TikTok, is that Chinese-owned companies, you can't think of them as American-run companies. With American-run companies, if the government wants data that those companies have collected, they have to get a warrant. They have to, request cooperation through local authorities. There's a process. So here's the thing. While using Facebook and Twitter does not mean your information will not land in the government's hands, they will go through the proper channels most of the time to obtain that. There are checks and balances to get that information. Well, with a Chinese-owned company, they're all beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. There's no due process. There's no warrant. If the Chinese Communist Party wants that information, they just take it. They just take it. And so as this becomes more and more common knowledge, America in particular has been very skittish about national security because here's the thing. America can spy on us because, we're Americans. But they don't want Russia or China or France to be spying on their citizens. That's not okay. And so America has banned Huawei and kicked them out of the country. And that was a huge blow to Huawei. And interestingly, the funniest thing about this was that when it happened, basically China decided to show that it was not, a national pride thing where the government could really wanted it in our, technology to steal information by having its citizens do actually protests and everything before stopping and realizing that the protests were kind of proving President Trump's point. Well, interestingly, Huawei is facing even more backlash because the UK has ruled that Huawei must be taken out of all their equipment by 2027, so 7 years. So, here's the article. UK mobile networks have been told they cannot buy any more 5G equipment from Huawei after the end of the year, and that they must remove the Chinese networking company's technology from their 5G networks by the end of 2027. The decision is a significant U-turn by the UK government, which only 6 months ago gave Huawei the green light to play a role in the country's 5G network. Culture Secretary Oliver Dowden said, "Following U.S. sanctions against Huawei and updated technical advance from our cyber experts, the government has decided it is necessary to ban Huawei from our 5G networks." He added, "No new kit is to be added from January 20th, 21, and UK 5G networks will be Huawei free by the end of 2027. However, Dowden also revealed the decision will also have an impact on the rollout of 5G in the UK. This will delay our rollout of 5G. This means a cumulative delay to 5G rollout of 2 to 3 years and cost of up to £2 billion. This will have real consequences for the connections on which all our constituents rely." The government said the decision was taken today in a meeting of the National Security Council chaired by the Prime Minister in response to U.S. sanctions against the Chinese company imposed in May, which limited the company's access to products built on U.S. semiconductor technology. Now, following a review of these sanctions, the UK cybersecurity agency, the National Cybersecurity Centre, concluded that as a result, Huawei will need to do a major reconfiguration of its supply chain. And obviously, Huawei disagrees with it. Now, that's actually part one of this story. The second part of the story is that it got even more serious because the U.S. is actually going to hit Huawei employees with visa bans for rights abuse. Remember, we're talking about national security violations. We believe, or at least the government believes, that Huawei was spying on people through their technology. And, even basic hackers found some truth to that. That's why TikTok became a big thing. So there is good concern that, Huawei is doing this. And that's why they're hitting Huawei employees with visa bans. So here's the story for that one. The Trump administration said Wednesday it will impose travel bans on employees of the Chinese technology giant Huawei and other Chinese companies the U.S. determines are assisting authoritarian governments in cracking down on human rights, including in China's western Xinjiang province. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also said the administration is finalizing plans to minimize data theft from the popular Chinese video streaming app TikTok, although he stopped short of saying it would be banned outright, although we do have a story about TikTok, which will be one of our later topics. Pompeo made the announcement a day after the British government said it would ban Huawei from its 5G networks over concerns that sensitive data could be compromised by the Chinese Communist Party. And so here's the thing. I agree with these bans. Now, you do know, as most people know, I do believe in due process. I totally believe in due process. I believe in innocence until proven guilty. I believe you should not have your livelihood destroyed until things are proven without a shadow of a doubt that you are guilty of what you are accused of. However, again, we have to look at Huawei as something different. It's not a U.S. company where there are checks and balances. These are Chinese-owned companies. And in China, you are beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. Now, they may make arguments that they've got servers in America, but it's really, if they own the servers in America too, it's no stretch to think that that information is still very easily accessible by the CCP. And we need to be careful about how these companies operate in here. And since there has been some credible evidence to show that they're not being completely honest about what's happening with the information that goes into these networks and services, I think, not doing business with them until that can be clarified is probably the smart move to make in this case. However, I would like to know what you think about this. Do you agree with the Trump administration, or do you not agree with the Trump administration? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly.